Where was I? Okay. So these are some of the services that we offer. We do advisory services like health checks and code audits. We do development. We build extensions, implementations, migrations. We do strategy. We can transform your digital business. We also have a new analytics group that we got from the Magento Business Intelligence. And we round that all out with training. So we have about 60 consultants worldwide. Magento is an international company. So why are we here? Why do we need a reference architecture? You all probably know that Magento supports the multiple websites, multiple stores, and store views. Let's dig into that. Well, brands have some pretty hefty requirements, right? They want scalability, they want agility, and they want innovation. And they want to innovate fast. And the problem when you have a lot of big global brands all sharing on the same environments is they have to coordinate their calendars. So if one brand wants to do a big newsletter campaign on Wednesday, no other brands can probably do one at that same time because they don't want to overload the servers. They also have to coordinate all their schedules for infrastructure changes, deployments, for all of their code base. And also, they want to be really innovative, but they're spending most of their money on support. And what are the company requirements? Well, the company really just wants a lower total cost of ownership, right? So they want all their brands on the same platform. And then they want to be able to add more brands and add them quickly. They want a faster time to market. So that's where a reference architecture can come into play. A reference architecture is when we do a shared code base that supports multiple instances of Magento. So we have a core code base. It has all those custom features that your brands are sharing, all the extensions, and a core theme, and any shared integrations. But then each brand can have their own code base on top of that, where they have some of their customizations, which should be very few. But then they have their theme, so they have their unique look and feel, and they have any of their integrations. So how do we architect this solution? What does that look like? So we know Magento supports multiple stores, multiple websites. This is the admin view. And we need to know the requirements of those. So for multiple websites, you can have unique prices, shipping methods, and payment methods. You can have unique currency, but websites don't share shopping carts. They can share customers. It's a setting. You can choose to or not. A store can have a unique catalog. So this is where maybe your website has a regular store, and then they have like a private sales store, a flash sale store, a specific holiday store or something. And they can share the shopping cart and user sessions. And then store views can have unique languages and themes, so these are usually used for localization. And then here's the admin view. Here's where you can go in and you can see what are the different store views or website view for each of your configurations. So here we can see that the country we can change on a store view level, and the allowed countries we can change on a website level. So here's what a single instance looks like. We have 3 domains. We have 3 different brands. It's using one Magento application, one Magento database. And this is just a simple view, like you might have multiple websites or multiple database servers, web servers, sorry. And this is what the stores would look like. So we have a website for each brand. We have stores, and we have store views for the languages. So for example, brand A has store A, and then it has English and Spanish. Brand C has 2 stores because it has its main store catalog, and then it has a private sale catalog, and then it has English for each of those. Now, a multiple instance might look like this. So each brand has their own Magento, their own environment, their own version, their own application of Magento running, and their own database. And then this is how we might organize the websites in the stores. So this is per brand. This allows us to make a website for each country. So this way, each country can have different shipping and different payment methods. which is usually a necessity. Then they each have their own store, and then they can have their own languages. And what are some of the benefits of the single instance versus the multiple instance? So with a single instance, it's nice because you have a single point of administration. Your content can be shared across everything. You have combined reporting, and you can have a single deployment process. The multiple instant benefits are different. It's a little bit of the opposite. So your data is independent from other countries and brands, and you can have dedicated integrations and backend systems. It's independently scalable and independently deployable, which were what our brand requirements were. So what does this look like? So here's our money slide here. So this is the reference architecture. So first we have Magento Cloud. That's what we're just using as our example for hosting for this. Then on the next level, we have the Magento application. And then we have that reference architecture. We have our core custom modules and integrations. On the reference architecture blocks, we have the theme, the common theme that we're using as a starter theme for all of our others. And then each brand builds off that reference architecture, has their custom modules and their custom theme. This is what the code repository might look like. So in core, that's where we have the Magento application. In common, that's our reference architecture, all our shared code. And then each brand has their own repository with hopefully just a few customizations and their theme and any of their brand files. And then just a little bit more detailed look at what the code repository looks like. Had to throw some technical slides in there. And then just a little bit about theme inheritance in Magento. Themes inherit from a parent theme. So you've heard me talk about, like, we are, with the reference architecture, you do want to create that common theme. And I'll get a little bit more into more of why we need that. But you want to, you want to be able to share across all your brands. Say if you're adding like a quick view, right? You're going to add that quick view custom module, and then you're going to add your quick view pages, your theme files, to the common, and then in each brand, you're just going to apply your CSS to get the look and feel. So you're reusing that code and you're saving time. So here's what the environment would look like for the reference architecture. So each brand's going to get their own environment, but you're also going to build an environment for the reference architecture. And you're only going to need a QA and a dev server. But this way, say we're building that quick view customization, right? We're first going to just test it on this vanilla reference architecture first, and then we're going to deploy it to brand A, test it on brand A, deploy to brand B, test on brand B, et cetera. And then here's what our environment is going to look like for the brand. So we do have like Jenkins server here doing a little bit of deployment, pulling that code out of the Git repository, putting it together, deploying it to dev, QA, and we have staging and production. So what are some of the challenges? We have to get consensus across brands. How are we going to prioritize our features? What's the roadmap look like? Brand A might want to do this feature this month, and brand B might want to do this integration this month. So it's really, that's the toughest thing, is getting consensus. And I'll come back to that. And then we have every enhancement that's ever made is available for every brand. Well, that's what we want, right? That's a good thing. But it also just creates some challenges, because now all those brands have to find time to deploy those enhancements, to test those enhancements. And they might not always have the time or the budget. So that can just become a little bit of a challenge. But it's a good challenge. And then also, as I talked about having that environment for the reference architecture, we are adding an extra step where we have to do the QA on the reference architecture. So that's an extra step that we have to add. What are the benefits? So this is, really why we're here. So the outcome, and we've done this for many clients. The outcome of this is that you have independent brands with one platform. The brands are able to deploy in multiple countries and multiple languages. There's less total time on support. So if you add up all those times the brands were spending on support, It's less total time. And then the brands, because they're spending less time on support, they have the ability to focus on enhancements. So they're getting that innovation that they wanted. And you're still able to support brand specifics. So you're still able to make the brands happy. So the key benefits, we reduce the time to market, we lowered the total cost of ownership, and we have brand independence. So we're meeting those requirements from the company. These are the company requirements. So what might like the timeline look like? So first you're gonna spend some time like building out that reference architecture first, and then building out your first brand might take a little bit longer. But then as each brand you build out, it's gonna take a little bit less time because you're learning, you're getting more efficient, you're developing your processes better. And then maybe you have a chunk of time where you're just doing enhancements, and then next year you're rolling out brand D and brand E, and again, that time to roll those out is getting shorter and shorter. So how do we make this work? As I was saying, the key to success is getting alignment across the brands. So the way we recommend doing this is by developing a change control board. So their job, they're tasked with maintaining the integrity of the reference architecture and prioritizing development based on the benefit to the business. So on the change control board, you want to have an e-commerce director and then a representative from each brand. And their duties are to prioritize all the requests, approve the estimates from the developers, and plan the overall roadmap. And the process might look something like this. A feature request comes in, the board can approve it or deny it, then that feature will get implemented in the reference architecture, then the feature can get implemented into brands, maybe it's only going into brand A and B and not C and D, and can get deployed. So in the end, we have happy customers. And that's what we were going for. So that's it. Thank you, and any questions? Sure, Jen. Yeah, I mean, with one of the clients we're working with now, they really don't allow it at all. Their customizations are only in their theme. Everything has to get added to the reference architecture because yeah, because you know what, next year they're going to want it. I know we like took a feature out, we said no to a feature for one brand, and then the next month another brand added it. So, you know, it's like always changing. Hey.
First question is on the multiple instances. Is there a way to have a unified backend so that they could do global changes across all instances?
You mean like the admin?
Yeah.
No, because it's different databases.
Got it.
Yeah, so if clients really do want a unified, like if they want their customer service to be doing it across all brands, then you want one single instance. You know, this is really for big global companies where they have like different customer service groups for each of their brands.
Sure, makes sense. And then I'm assuming that the licensing is commensurate with all those different instances.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have a separate license for each one of those.
Well, not a separate license, but it would be factored into your license cost, yeah. Well, these are usually different products. He's asking if I would recommend using a PIM to push the product data from, you know, one central location into the multiple instances. These are totally separate brands that I'm in my reference. They have completely different catalogs. And yeah, the product data is coming from their back-end systems, but you know, it's usually some ERP or some archaic system. I really haven't come across a lot of projects using PIMs. I think it's a great idea, but I just haven't seen it much. Anything else? Great, thank you.